How's it going, family? Powerful I am. It's your main guy, 50 the Mystic. We still in the Old Testament in the book of Exodus. We're still carrying on with the Ten Commandments. Today we're getting into Exodus 20, verse 10. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it you shall do no work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates. Very jam packed, very loaded. But what does it overall mean when we dissect it and decipher this verse itself? But it's amplifying the importance of rest itself. Striving is not always the answer, it is not the key. Even though in today's society, everyone tells you to strive, and the more you strive, the more successful you will be. If striving was the route to success, believe me, most of your families would be very wealthy. But let's get right into it and dissect it nicely for you. So this scripture in itself completes the cycle introduced in the previous verses by defining the seventh day as sacred withdrawal from labor. The seventh day represents transcendence beyond production, hierarchy, and identity roles. It is the great equalizer. On the Sabbath, no distinction exists between ruler and servant, parent and child, human and animal, insider and outsider. All are commanded to rest. This in itself symbolizes a return to essence where values no longer derive from function but from being. The Sabbath of the Lord signifies that rest belongs to divine order, not personal convenience. It means rest is not owned by the ego or negotiated by productivity. It is claimed by truth itself. When labor ceases, false hierarchies dissolve, power pauses, control loosens, identity softens. Everyone enters the same sacred stillness. The inclusion of children, servants, animals, and strangers is deliberate. These represent every layer of the inner world. The child symbolizes innocence and potential. The servant symbolizes habit and routine. The animal symbolizes instinct and drive. The stranger symbolizes the unfamiliar or neglected parts of the self. All of these must rest. The Sabbath requires that all of them literally rest because no part of the inner system is allowed to continue striving while another pauses. Wholeness demands total rest. This verse confronts exploitation. When systems refuse rest, the most vulnerable suffer first. Sabbath interrupts domination and restores dignity. It declares that no life is merely a tool for output. Therefore, this verse in itself symbolizes restoration of unity. It is the command that resets identity, dismantles false value systems, and reestablishes sacred equality. In Sabbath consciousness, all creation remembers it is more than what it produces in essence at overall. Because this scripture describes complete nervous system shutdown from performance mode. The seventh day represents full parasympathetic dominance, where the body is no longer optimizing for output, vigilance, or survival. The instruction that no one is to work includes children, servants, animals, and strangers mirrors the requirement of total systemic rest. Partial rest is not sufficient. If one part of the system continues to strain, the whole system remains dysregulated. In the human body, this reflects how stress cannot be isolated. When the mind rests, but the body remains tense, healing does not occur. When the body pauses, but the mind continues to worry, recovery is incomplete. Sabbath demands full coherence. Muscles release, breath deepens. Heart rate variability improves. Hormonal signals shift from cortisol dominance toward repair and regeneration. The immune system strengthens itself. Neural repair accelerates. Children in the verse symbolize the creative and emotional centers of the brain. Servants symbolize habitual routines and conditioned responses. Animals symbolize instinctual drives and impulses. Strangers symbolize unintegrated or suppressed psychological material. The command that all must reflect a neurological truth. The entire brain must disengage from task orientation for true restoration to occur. Detach. What in essence this is teaching, but we'll get into it a bit deeper. It's cutting into the law of detachment. This in the body is when the body goes into deep repair. Cellular regeneration increases, memory consolidation strengthens, emotional processing stabilizes. Trauma stored in the body begins to release when vigilance ceases. This is why chronic stress without true rest leads to illness. The body was never designed for endless activation like you were made to believe. It is therefore, in the scripture, a biological safeguard. It enforces total shutdown so the system can rest, set itself to baseline. Rest is not weakness, it is repair. It is neurological obedience to design. When the whole system rests together, healing becomes possible and balance is restored. See, the scripture expresses the principle of universal rest and systemic balance. In nature, rest is never selective. When night falls, it falls on everything. When winter comes, it affects plants, animals, soil, and atmosphere alike. Creation rests together. The command that no one works on the seventh day mirrors this law of collective pause. Nature does not allow one part of a system to overfunction while the rest shuts down. If it does, imbalance follows. The Sabbath of the Lord represents alignment with the universal rhythm. Cosmic systems require moments where motion slows so equilibrium can be restored. Stars burn but also stabilize. Oceans surge but also recede. Ecosystems thrive because periods of activity are matched by periods of stillness. When this rhythm is violated, depletion occurs. Soil becomes barren, species collapse, climate destabilizes. Rest is not optional in nature, it is enforced. The inclusion of servants, animals, and strangers reflects the law that no energy in a system exists in isolation. Overworking any layer creates systemic strain. Nature teaches that exploitation always rebounds. When animals are overworked, they weaken. When land is overused, it erodes. When people are denied rest, societies fracture. Sabbath interrupts exploitation before collapse occurs. This verse in itself cosmically teaches about the law of containment. Energy must be held, not endlessly released. The seventh day is the container that prevents creation from burning itself out. Holiness here means alignment with this cosmic pause, the moment where expansion stops and coherence returns. The scripture therefore reveals that rest is a universal law, not a personal preference. When all parts of a system rest together, harmony is preserved. When rest is denied to any part, disorder spreads through the whole. Nature insists on Sabbath because balance sustains life. And now the scripture overall teaches that rest must be collective, protected, and uncompromised. It is not enough for you to rest while the systems around you continue to demand output. True Sabbath requires that you stop driving yourself, stop driving others, and stop allowing productivity to define worth. This verse confronts modern culture directly, especially systems that normalize burnout, exploitation, and constant availability. That thing of you must always be available for your boss, I call that utter nonsense. The body needs periods of regulation where it rests. In daily life, this means creating environments where rest is respected. If you are a parent, your children need rest. Not schedules filled with constant stimulation. Yes, you can put those in there. It's fine. It's perfect to keep the kids busy and stimulated. But also schedule in days when the kids rest and engage in absolutely nothing. It is actually normal, and that's what the body and the system needs. If you are a leader or employer, those under you need permission to disengage without fear. or guilt. If you are in a relationship, rest means not demanding emotional labor when someone is depleted. Sabbath consciousness refuses to extract value from people when they need restoration. The inclusion of animals and strangers teaches responsibility beyond self-interest. Rest is ethical. When you deny rest to the vulnerable, whether emotionally, physically, or economically, you participate in imbalance. This calls for human boundaries, fair expectations, and compassion-driven leadership. Intelligently, this verse also applies. You must stop forcing parts of yourself to perform while others' parts rest. Many people sit still physically while mentally overworking through worry, guilt, or self-criticism. Sabbath means allowing the mind, emotions, and body to rest together. No inner taskmasters, no internal deadlines, no self-exploitation. Ultimately, this teaches that rest is not weakness, it is wisdom. It restores dignity, heals systems, and preserves life. When you honor collective rest, you build sustainability into your home, your work, and your inner world. Sabbath is where balance is maintained and humanity is protected from itself. Beautiful verse, very powerful, very impactful. Now for you in your everyday life. Don't remember, you need periods of rest. You can't always be busy. That scam was sold to you. It is not what the body needs. And as always, family, stay blessed and stay safe. Until next time, when we cover the next verse, Exodus 20 verse 11. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea and all that is in them, and rested the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy.